Hello and welcome back to the Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel, and we're back at Aintree Racecourse over the Grand National Fences this weekend. The Becher Handicap chases their feature race over there, and we've got Grade 1 action galore over at Sandown. Are we going to see Jonbon? Hopefully. Are we going to see Constitution Hill? Hopefully as well. Fingers crossed we get to see these stars of the game. Harry, it's me and you on this evening, but it should be a good weekend of action. You know, we've got 3 Grade 1s over at Sandown, plenty of handicaps as well, juvenile hurdles, novice chases, novice hurdles as well. It really is. You know, when you look at it, it's a pretty action-packed couple of days we're previewing on Friday and Saturday.
No, absolutely, Ashton. It does really feel like, we're under 100 days from Cheltenham now. And I know it's not all about Cheltenham. However, you've got so many pointers last weekend, the weekend before, and you'll get more clues this weekend, obviously, with Constitution Hill, whether he will go to the rearranged fighting fifth, whether Jonbon, he'll go for the Tingle Creek, looking to obviously beat Edwardstone, who obviously was so impressive this time last season. But nevertheless, there's much more racing to go on. And it's really warming up despite the weather that is dropping. So if you're wondering where Lee is, just on that, he's on the circuit tonight. I have no idea where he is, but he's up north somewhere, and he's busy working. So we'll soon see Lee back on the Saturday live at 10:30.
Yeah, it's well, it could have been if things went wrong last night, it could have just been Harry on this. You know, I was at the HWPAs, and if it was a heavy one, I might not be here right now. But I've managed to take a couple of brave pills, and we're on the show today. No, it should be a good couple days of action. We're going to preview, as always, with a Sunday show, which is 7 to 8 on a Sunday evening on Twitter. We review all the action there with Lee and special guests, so we can dive straight into the action, Harry, and we'll dive into the Friday at Sandown, because although there isn't prices for the races, we're still going to have a small word about them. The Grade 2 Winter Novices Hurdle is where we're going to kick things off on the Friday. Interesting contest, and the fact there's plenty of up and coming horses entered. There's a couple of double entries as well. The likes of the horses going potentially. Chock-a-Block for Nicky Henderson, Choose a Copper for Lucinda Russell, Deafening Silence Dan Skelton, Insurrection Paul Nichols, Josh the Boss, Nigel Dustin Davis, Personal Ambition Ben Pauling, Roger Pole Jamie Snowden, South of the Border Nicky Henderson, and the Doyen Chief Alan King. Harry, interesting one. No prices, but is there any horse or horses that are standing out to you?
Yeah, it's a good race. This is Ash. 8 out of the 9 that are currently entered, they've all won last time out. So there's plenty of substance to the form. Josh the Boss is obviously, that horse was very, very impressive at Aintree last time out in the I think it was the qualifier. The top 2, Magical King for Stuart Edmonds. Those two pulled a mile clear of Manila Double for Ollie Murphy, who was a winner last time out. But it's not that horse that I am going to be siding with, despite I think he is a very big threat. It's South of the Border. Now, Nicky Henderson's been in terrific form at the start of this season, and this horse was a winner in a maiden hurdle at Sandown last time. I beat a horse called Spirits Bay. Nico de Boinville got this horse in a lovely rhythm and got this horse jumping, which is the main thing. And nothing really could get into the race. He was promising enough. He wasn't making all by any means, but nothing got into the race, and he did power onto the line, which you like to see from a horse who's having his first start over the obstacles. So for me, South of the Border could just take a lot of beating, but the likes of Roger Pole, Chock-a-Block, Choose a Copper, it's a pretty deep race. And obviously we've not even mentioned Insurrection, who beat a very, very good, nice type of Joe Tizards in Diamond Rye. So yeah, it's a very tricky race, but for me, if you did push me, I'd be siding with South of the Border.
Yeah, I'm taking a sort of straight bat approach to this race. I'm not too sure what's going to turn up yet, but there's definitely some interesting types in there. Personal Ambition's one of them. We're speaking to Ben Pauling. He could be going elsewhere this week, i.e. he's declared tomorrow as we record. So he's declared for Wednesday at Haydock, 110, currently 3-1 for that race. He should be going there, so he's potentially not going to this race now. Insurrections also enter for a 2-mile novice hurdle on the Saturday of Sandown, but we were speaking off camera there that has got potentially Will Mount turning up to it, as well as a couple others. Like for example, Choose a Copper is enter for that race as well. So they might take a pull on that, potentially goes to 2-miler. They might go to 2.5. I don't see the reason to go to 2.5 for this race though. That he travelled really well over 2 miles last time out at Exeter. I see no reason why he should be going up in trip unless he's sort of shown that he can really do what he wants really at home. So without knowing too much about who's going to turn up, I'd probably be taking a straight bat on this. If I was maybe pushing to one, Deafening Silence I thought was quite good for Dan Skelton last time out. Wrapped Up in May's a nice horse for Paul Nicholls and swept that horse aside really and did it quite nicely. So he's got the form over staying trips as well from at Exeter. So yeah, I'd say maybe Deafening Silence at this early stage would be the one that I'd want to be siding with. Yeah, same goes for the next race really, Harry. We're going to be talking about the Grade 2 Esher Novices Chase. New to the programme this season because obviously just filling in the sort of rearranged programme with races going, races coming in. Nice Grade 2 event and could see some nice horses. 5 entered at this early stage. Stay Away Fabian, one of them. Chasing Fire, Conquell Legend, Giovinco, and the Changing Man. So we could be seeing 5, it could be seeing less. With the straight bat I played on the last race, I'll decide to open up to a nice shot on the cover side, and I've landed with Stay Away Faye here. I just really like this horse. I like him a lot. Obviously a Bartlett winner. He's a Grade 1 winner over hurdles. He was very good at Exeter from a fairly sort of looked like impossible position for a while, but he jumped the last brilliantly and went away and won quite snugly, I thought, at the end. I really liked how he did that. And look, I know it's a different test potentially going from Exeter to Sandown, but at the same time, I think it's going to be quite slow ground at Sandown, and he will need to stay at that Sandown hill. So yeah, I think he's a proper horse, and without knowing the price, I can only assume he's going to probably go off favourite. I'd say I'd be a Stay Away Faye. Harry, are you with me or are you with someone else?
No, I'm not. I think the market just it just may underestimate Chasing Fire. It was a bad run at Air last time out. Now, I think you can just disregard that because he was beaten by not a bad horse in Marble Sands, who was just beaten into 4th, I believe, by Hermes Allen. Obviously, in that Grade 2 on Friday or Saturday, whenever it was, at Newbury. But Chasing Fire on his first start over fences, he looked a completely different horse. And I'm not sure what cracked off, but albeit there was only 3 runners, Pembroke and obviously the ill-fated I Like to Move It, they were 2 very good animals to be taken on your chase debut off level weight. So I just think this horse has been campaigned at the highest level. He returns to Sandown where he was a 6-length winner of his novice hurdle. That was when he was touted for a decent run in the Supreme, albeit it didn't fathom to anything. And obviously he was 12th of 14, but the yard, I mean, Ash, we both know the yard think a lot of this horse. And off a mark of 136, I've said this horse will be competitive off that mark in a handicap. But I think in this small field, I think he's got form obviously over 2 miles over this course. He might just get away with a soft lead here, and he might just be quicker than them and just get away from them. And that's what I'm kind of hoping. Giovinco, that horse obviously was brilliant when it was pretty much a bumper, wasn't it? Over 3 miles and a furlong at Aintree last time out. Beat a decent horse of Nicky Richards's, but that form wouldn't be enough to suffice in this sort of level. So yeah, I think the top 2 will be Stay Away Phase, obviously the biggest danger for me. I wouldn't have Giovinco, me personally, and Chasing Fire I think is a lively one out the trio.
That's fair enough. Could be a very, very interesting race if they all turn up. It may be a small field, but not lacking in quality, that's for sure. And we'll move on then to the Saturday races, the ones that have a bit of price about them, so we can have a little bit of a play if we want to. The Grade 1 Fighting 5th Hurdle is the race that we're going to be sort of looking at. And we're not having a fancy on this, Harry. We're taking a bit of a step back in the fact that we don't know what's happening. You know, Constitution Hill topping the market 7-4 on right at the head of affairs. Love Envar 2-1. You Wear It Well 4s. Shishkin 8-1. Irish Point 10-1. Gosh and 40s, Not So Sleepy 25s, and Benson 100-1. It looked like for a while today, Harry, as we record on Tuesday, that the exchanges were going out to somewhere in 3.3, 3.5 for Constitution Hill, suggesting he may not run. And then there was an article in the Racing Post today from Nicky Henson, just as we clicked on to record it, sort of got published, saying that it's looking more and more likely he's going to go. Look, you're in this position, and we're in this position now, so we're probably not going to be having a bet anti-post wise. So it could be quite unwise, in fact, it's knowing who's going to the race. But at this stage, Constitution Hill, I assume you're in the camp of he wins, and you're looking forward to him if he does turn out this weekend.
Of course, but obviously the gap to the Christmas hurdle is very tight. And Nicky Anderson's expressed that. I was listening to Nick Look Daily, obviously, this morning on the way to uni. My the regular podcast whenever I'm going in and making the half an hour trip. It's a perfect listen. And obviously Shishkin, he's also an intended runner. But I think Constitution Hill, the ground, if it's too bad, I don't think he'll go. And I think Nicky's obviously a smart man, and he won't want to risk this horse. Which, albeit he ran in the fighting fifth this time last year, but there's no point ruining a horse if the gap's too quick. Do you know what I mean? So if he goes to the Christmas hurdle, it's only you've missed a race. But for me, and obviously the fighting fifth last year, it was basically a walk in the park. Shishkin, listening into Nick, look, Nicky did mention that the cheek pieces are off, which is good. That horse is obviously a Fruit Loop, but he's a very talented Fruit Loop at the best of times. So I'd love to see him. He's obviously had the option of the Peterborough Chase to then go on to the King George. This could be a perfect prep for him. Whether he's as good as any of these, we need to remember that he is a supreme winner. So you've got to take him at face value, and at 8-1, it's a big price. But he is obviously a renowned chaser nowadays. One horse that I did like, Ash, and I did say to you, I wouldn't bet him right now because I don't think he'd go if Constitution Hill went. But if he didn't go, I could see Irish Point rocking up here and being a threat. This horse I thought was relished the soft ground at Down Royal, and he has form on quicker ground. He says at Aintree he was a 3-length winner at beating Katira, and the Hermes Allen was in third. And You Wear It Well was in fifth that day. Had no answers for Irish Point. I just think he's a bigger horse. So I think Gordon Elliott, he's renowned for doing this sort of thing. He could just wait around and say, well, listen, if Constitution Hill's not going to go, we're going to send that lad over, and bollocks to the Christmas meetings because we'll take the fighting fifth.
I don't think he will go with Irish Point. I think they're probably looking at maybe stepping him up in trip, though. With the run of Tiupu, they've got that stayers hurdle division looking quite nice in a nice bow at the moment. So would they want Irish Point to come into things and upset it? I suppose they've got to do what's best for the horse, but he looked like a bit more of a stayer over that sort of 2 mile one last time out. Look, for me, I'm going to keep this short because at the end of the day, there's only certain amounts you can say about Constitution Hill, barring being an amazing, amazing horse. I'm just not too sure. Sandown's sticky at the best of times, ground-wise, and there's going to be a big influx of rain coming on Thursday. I'm not sure if they'll take the plunge on him, as well with it being 17 days of the Christmas hurdle. Christmas hurdle is worth 30 more grand to the winner. I could see him just going straight to the Christmas hurdle, waiting a bit more time, and then going there. Although at the same time, if they have got the horse ready, it's going to be difficult to keep readying a horse for a race and not actually running them. So look, it's going to be difficult. Whatever happens for Connections, Nick Jensen, Michael Buckley, you don't envy them at all. But if he doesn't go, the one that I would be with is Love Envoi. She goes really well fresh, as saw from the last season where she bolstered up at Sandown in a handicap. And look, she likes soft grounds, she has course form, and I think she's quite a good horse. So if Constitution Hill wasn't to go and Love Envoi was anywhere above evens, I'd probably be keeping her on side.
One thing, it's kind of giving me a little bit of Altior Tingle Creek vibes. Do you remember that famous interview with Lydia and Nikki about the ground when it was officially described as soft, but Nikki was adamant that it was heavy? If the ground was to come up soft, Sandown gets, as you mentioned, gets boggy on the best of days. So soft is a very different. Sandown soft is very different to Aintree soft and Cheltenham soft, for example. Do you know what I mean? And Constitution Hill, I still think if the ground was soft, I don't think he'll go. I really don't think he'll go.
He's won on heavy at Sandown before.
Yeah, but that was on in a novice hurdle, and the reputation he's got now, with, as we mentioned, with the fighting fifth coming up so soon, what is it? That would pretty much knacker him out for the Christmas hurdle, wouldn't it?
Look, you don't know what it's gonna. You don't know what effect it will have on him. Most of his times his break's been a month between race if he's sort of doing one after another kind of thing. So look, I think look, it's all speculation at this stage. anyone who knows is just the trainer and the owner, and all we can go off is what he said there. It's not an anti-post betting race at all. But look, we hope we can see him.
And on that bombshell, here is Michael Buckley with the latest.
If only, if only. We'll move on to the Henry VIII, Harry. There, we could have an interest in this one. JPR1 topping the market 7-4. Colonel Harry 7-2. Isio the same price. Unexpected Party 5-1. Petit Tonnerre 12s. Bigger about the rest. Harry, what do you fancy in the Henry VIII?
No, this is a good race. Now, Petit Tonnerre, for one, we'll start with that horse because that horse is a horse I know you love. But I know you're siding differently this time around. JPR1, you've got to give it to this horse. I mean, he sets the standard, albeit he fell at Cheltenham last time out. I just question, even though he was going to absolutely dot up. I think it was a bad race. I think it was it was four runners. Home Public won handicap before going into that race. Petit Tonnerre, that was that horse's first go over fences, wasn't it? And I'd just like to give Colonel Harry another chance. Now he was another one who was in a three run affair with Tamurus and out of office for Evan Williams. And Colonel Harry looked to be kind of under the pump at jumping 3 out or 2 out. But I think Gavin Sheehan, he's a man riding with such finesse at the minute, obviously with the likes of his Coral Gold Cup win. And I love the way this horse won, not just there, but at the Sandown on his penultimate start that he was here. He was obviously fourth in the Tolworth last year. Before that, he was a 7-length winner of a maiden hurdle, beating a horse called Uncle Bert, who's not a bad animal. And I just think if this ground gets bad, this horse shouldn't be a 7-2 shot in my book. So with that in mind, and we've just mentioned about the bog that Sandown can bring, I think 7-2 is a big price for Colonel Harry Ash, and Jamie Snowdon is in terrific form. But again, like it's a tricky race. Would I say it's the strongest Henry VIII we've ever seen? Definitely not.
No, it's definitely not. And you could even make a case like I was speaking to some people last night, and you can even make a case for Gary Moore's runner in here, Le Patron of an interesting type. The fact he's won really nicely at Fontwell by 20 lengths, then won beating Blow Your Wad at Sandown last time out by 10 lengths as well. Jumps those Sandown fences really, really nicely. But look, the one I'm going to be with here is JPR1. I can see the case for Colonel Harry. Like I can, he's got those forms with the likes of Nameen Lion and Uncle Bert in there. Just tripping over my words there. But look, JPR1, I thought he was very, very good at Cheltenham last time out. He had to go from the front. He had to make his own way of things, but he did it so well. And he jumped brilliantly well. He even jumped the last well. He just didn't get the landing gear out and just went over on himself. Look, even going back to his hurdles form, he was second to That's Right Gino as a hurdler, so he obviously has a good engine. And Jamie Snowdon probably knows back home about the different level between That's Right Gino and Colonel Harry. I say there's a fair gap between the two. I mean, Colonel Harry's got plenty of time to go and progress, but I'd say there's a gap between the two. They're the same connections silks wise, but finishing very close seconds. That's right, Gino as a hurdler, he must have a fair engine. Even the times being beaten before that, he was beaten quite comfortably in a Betfair hurdle, which things didn't really go well for him, and he was beaten in Supreme, and he was beaten at Aintree. So look, I just think the race he has been beaten in. There's sort of reasons behind it, whether it's stable form or running into Constitution Hill. And I think he's been very, very good. He's got form on heavy ground as well from his Newton Abbott win at the start of this season. I think he's out of all of these, he's the most likely Grade 1 horse. He maybe isn't a Grade 1 horse, but out of this field, I think he's probably the most likely one. So I'll be with JPR1. 7-4 is a fair enough price, and hopefully he can get the business done, because if anyone deserves a win, it is JPR1. He should have won last time out. The Tingle Creek then, Harry, we'll go on to that race, because this is a very interesting contest, and you do like one of the horses very strongly at the top of the market. Jonbon, 11-4 on, obviously after his Cheltenham victory last time out. But Captain Guinness in there, 5-1, no mug at all, beating Riviere de Tel in a Grade 2 last time out. Edwardstone, last year's winner, 8-1. Looks like they're going to continue down the 2 mile route rather than stepping up to 2.5. Boot Hill, the ever progressing Boot Hill, 16-1. Alex Zobo, again, another unlucky fall at Cheltenham when we last saw him, 20-1. And Nube Negra, who is a Schlur winner twice now, is the rag of the field at 25. So that is it's a deep Tingle Creek, this, Harry. Jonbon may be quite strong at the top of the market, but it's still quite a deep contest quality-wise.
It certainly is. 13 fences they've got to jump, and it takes a very good jumper to get through them and come out on top. Obviously, Jonbon, who jumped 13 fences last time out in the Schlur Chase, beating Edward Stone, who was so impressive this time last year in this race. He put a decent field away. We had the likes of I can't think of is it Granatine? Granatine was in second. That horse from looming up. Yeah, exactly. It was a pretty strong renewal, but I think this year is even stronger. I really do. I think the likes of Captain Guinness, who was superb at Navan, he went back to back in his Fortria Chase defence bid. So for me, Jonbon is just such a good jumper, and I think he looks more mature this year. Obviously, we're going to see El Fabiolo in the Hilly Way on Saturday or Sunday, one of the two. Regardless, I really think Jonbon. Is it Sunday? I really think Jonbon has proven to me this year that he's a different animal. He's proven to me that he can handle Cheltenham, and he can win at Cheltenham, because the two times he's been to Cheltenham, he's been beaten by a superb Constitution Hill, who broke the track record in the Supreme. He got beaten by El Fabiolo, who simply was emphatic in the Arkle last year. But then I thought he was emphatic in his own Schlur Chase. So he looks more. The only thing I'd worry about him is it takes sometimes a very good jumper. They can put so much effort into being so good on that tacky ground. They can just take them out of the comfort zone in the later stages. That would be my only worry. And obviously Sandown, but he was superb here. He beat Captain Guinness by 3 lengths, but it could have been 33 lengths. That was in the Celebration Chase, was it? And obviously he's beaten Boot Hill in the Henry VIII this time last year. So on all form lines, if you're a punter on form lines, then 4 to 11 you need to be getting stuck into. But I certainly wouldn't be, because again, if the ground is bad, would he go?
I think he will. There's probably nothing to
will. I think he will, but I don't think they'd be happy with it with the ground that tacky.
Like, he's got soft ground form. He hasn't got heavy ground form as such, but even from his sort of point-to-point days, he was sort of doing it all right on soft grounds. Look, like you said, on all form lines, Jonbon should be going and win this. Is there any value in 4 to 11? No. And look, call me silly if you want in the comments, and genuinely please do. But I'm gonna chuck up Alex Zobo. I just know he's a very, very good horse, and look, I think he's been a graded horse masquerading in handicap company for a while. I think he would have won last time out. I was almost convinced of it on his first start of the season. His jumping was brilliant. He travelled well. I think he would have stormed at that Cheltenham Hill, beating a nice horse and Dancing on My Own. And the race has, given some good form boostings. Not long till May, second in the Paddy Power. Triple Trade has run a good race next time out as well. He's obviously won and then finished third to Boot Hill in a handicap chase. So the form of that race has worked out well. He's a proper galloper over this distance, and he just loves soft ground. Any more rain, the better. He will be handling it, and at 20 to 1, he's just massive. So look, Jonbon can go and win. That's fine. But if Alex Zobo's there, he's pitching along, and he places at 20 to 1, you get him pretty much the same, if not more money back for your troubles. So go on, Alan.
Just on that, and again, Nick, look, he had Gary Moore on this morning, and he was saying about this horse that Editor Digit was entered. I think he was given an entry, but he obviously hasn't confirmed him for the race. And he said that Alex Zobo would definitely go if the ground was soft enough. And it was actually interesting the way that Gary Moore said about this horse. It was kind of, he'd been running him over 2 miles and on ground that he was never going to be that good on. But like a soft ground horse, he's proved it at Warwick, and I think even off 150, Ash, if he rocked up in like a Grand Annual or something, I think he'd be lethal. Like he'd
be tough to stop. I think he'd be tough to stop.
100%. Like he would just go a merry dance. The softer it gets, the last 2 Grand Annuals have been an absolute shit show regarding the ground. So it's I'd love to see Alex Zobo rock up in a Grand Annual. That's just me being pessimistic.
No, I like the fact of chucking him into a race like this. You know, they could go handicap route if they wanted to, but I like the idea of going to a race like this and just picking up the pieces if needed. You know, it's horse racing at the day. Jonbon could, I don't know, not fire, or he could hate the ground, and then you've got a horse there who's a proven 2 mile winner on this ground, and he's a very good horse. So yeah, look, Hazard 20 to 1. I think he's good value in a race like this. We'll fire over to entry for our final race, Harry. The Becher Handicap Chase, as we said off camera before we started recording. It's a great race. We love to watch it every year. And 11 to 2 top in the market is last year's winner, Ashtown Lad, for Harry and Dan Skelton. Percussion 6 to 1, same connections. A Fantastic Lady 8 to 1, Mr. Coffee 10s, Highland Hunter 12s, Houston Texas 12s, and the Big Breakaway the same price. Harry, who's top of your list for the Becher this year?
Listen, my nap of the weekend went the other way. When obviously Jess Keel won the Grand Sefton, but I think this is a much trickier race with Ashtown Lad. You never know what horse is going to rock up on the day. Like Dan Skelton was blatant with the fact that this horse was laid out like a dinner plate, wasn't he, for that race last year? Yeah, I'm going to take a chance on Fantastic Lady in this one, Ash. I thought this horse ran really well on the top weight in the Grand Sefton behind Jess Kill, and Percussion. Frero Bamboo was in third that day. We've already seen what that horse has done. Should have won at Newbury in many people's eyes, including probably myself. That was in a decent handicap at Newbury. So I think the form is strong. But I was most taken by the way she jumped and travelled so far under that top weight in the Grand Sefton. I thought she loved the fences. She's proven now that she can do it over the national fences. For me, the step up in trip, will that be a problem? We were talking off camera. We don't think it will. She's won over 3 miles at Market Raisin. That was on good to soft ground. She handles softer conditions. I think when Nicky puts a horse in a big valuable handicap like this, he won't be far away. Let's put it that way. But yeah, Ashtown Lad at 11 to 2. I wouldn't want to go away from him and look, because he's won off 138 by 2 lengths, beating Jess Gill this time last season. He's up £2 from that run. He could be absolutely anything off that mark, but he is a 9-year-old. He's getting older, and I just think Fantastic Lady 8 to 1 is a live wire. What another horse I will mention, I know sometimes I fall into the trap of backing too many old boys, and Houston, Texas is certainly one of those. I put that horse up at 33s for the Ida or something. He went off 17th, so I was pretty much counting my fucking money at one point, and he come round the bend swinging, and then he just tailed off. But that was the ground, and I think this weekend's going to be very ground dependent for many horses. If it comes down and it unleashes at Aintree, I think he won't be far away off a lowly weight. So Houston, Texas, is probably my second pick. But I think Fantastic Lady has a fantastic chance. See what I did there?
Yeah, it was the obvious one, wasn't it? Really, you've gone for the obvious one. Look, yeah, I backed Fantastic Lady last time out. I fancied her quite strongly actually, and I respect her massively in a race like this. You know, she did that first time out. Last time out, obviously got a bit of race fitness under her belt now. So look, she can run very, very well, I think. And there's off top weight as well last time out. If Coco Beach Beach for Gordon Elliott, if that stays in the race, then she'll be off a lovely racing weight. Well, she'll be off 9.10, which might actually be a little bit too low in the race for minimum weights wise. But look, she'll be towards the low end of the handicap rather than being to the top end of the handicap. But if Coco Beach isn't in the race, sorry, I was looking at the Percussion there. She'll be off 10.10. So let's get out on the record straight. She'll be off 10.10. That's why it's a lovely racing weight. So she will be off something nice there rather than carrying 12 stone. Though if Coco Beach doesn't go to the race, then she'll be on something like 11 potentially. But I'm gonna side away from her slightly. And can you believe the Big Breakaway is only 8 years old? I thought he'd be like a 9 or 10-year-old now, veteran of the game.
Running in veteran chases.
Yeah, but he's an 8-year-old and he's still fairly low mileage, and I think he's got a good chance in a race like this. On pretty much all of his old form, he is well handicapped. Not least his second in the Welsh National off 148 last season. And he's also finished second at Haydock over 3 miles off 144. And he's got good graded efforts behind him in the form book as well. He's a high class horse who has had a spin over these fences before. Admittedly, he's only had the one fence spin as he fell at the second fence of the Grand National, but he has got that one fence experience. I'm clinging on to that straw as much as I want to. But look, I think with the intensity of what the Grand National was that day, all the animal rising stuff going around it, and the heat that was coming down, and the sort of stop start nature of things. I'm happy to put a line through what happened that day. He fell at the second, probably just got a bit buzzed up by things. But look, I know Joe Tizard thinks he's got a really sort of good horse on his hands here, and a horse that can really win one of these big handicap pots. I find it interesting to go into a race like this rather than the Welsh National, because obviously the Welsh National was a race he finished second in last year, and he'd be rocking up off a very similar mark. But I think if they're going for they tried their national experience, it didn't work out for them, they can end up going back there at the end of this season. But I think if they really want to win a big one, the Becher, something like this, would be properly there for the big breakaway. He's well handicapped, and I think he's got the scope to jump these fences. So the big breakaway at 12-1. Small mention as well to Highland Hunter. Ran a very good race off a 630-day break last time out when splitting two Kelso specialists in Elvis Mail and Empire Steel in the Edinburgh Gin Chase. Was second to I Will Do It in the 2021 Welsh National, and as 1 over 3 mile 5 in the 2021 London National at Sandown. So a proper stayer is Houston, Texas. Obviously, he was with Nichols, now with Fergal O'Brien. Race fitness under his belt. He'll come on massively for the run. I think he could be a live player as well. So two at a price there, 12-1 wise. I'm going Highland Hunter and the big breakaway to hopefully upset the Ashtown lads party. Harry, anything else? And Naps, I'll go to you. Anything else taking your fancy? If not, what's your best bet at this stage?
Yeah, I couldn't not give a quick mention to the horse. I've probably got the shares of a toenail in, but Big City Roller was supposed to be at Newcastle last weekend, which is why I was so gutted I couldn't actually go. It was cancelled. So he's got 2 entries. He's got 2 entries for the Old Gold Faithful. He's got one at Wetherby in the first race in the 11:40, the Cap and Novices Hurdle. It's another decent race. Roger Poll is one that we've mentioned on the channel already. He's entered the Jukebox Man. Now, many horses recognise that horse from his antics in a maiden hurdle at Fosslas, where he recorded a very strong RPI. He was superb. He was an evens favourite for Ben Paulin, and he looks a very nice type. Another one is They Seek Him There for Warren Greatress. He was another novice hurdle winner at Lingfield, so it's a very warm order. And Big City Roller could end up there, but he could also end up at Chepstow in another strong novice hurdle. Beachcomber was a horse who won a maiden hurdle at Huntingdon. He won over 3 miles or something on a Saturday. Can't remember, last week or whenever it was. Decent horse. Manila Double is one that got turned over at short odds, I want to say. Well, not really short odds, but I think it was around 3-1. That was by Josh the Boss. We've also mentioned that horse on the channel. So it's one that it links in with perfectly with today's YouTube channel. And a quick mention to Paddy DePaul, who could make his Old Gold debut in the same race as Big City Roller. So best of luck to anyone that will be going down to either Chepstow or up to Wetherby. I will be there regardless of wherever he is, because I absolutely love him. My nap of the weekend for you, Mr. Simmons. Tricky one. Can you come back to me?
I can, yes, no problem at all. I've got 2 horses that are on my radar for the weekend. They're towards the front end of the market, but I think I see them having very live chances. 240 at Aintree. I like Son and Gino at 5-2. Ran a good race in the Great Woods on probably not soft enough ground that day, because he does like it really, really soft. He's got good form behind Fenacross at Aintree, and he beat Too Friendly at Huntington last season, who's gone and ran well behind Rubord recently. Should like any rain that drops on the course. I think he's got a very live chance. So that's in the 240 at Aintree. I think that's on the Friday, though, because I do have another Aintree fancy in the time zone matchup on my... No, that'll be Saturday. Of course, that'll be Saturday. So yeah, it's the 240 at Aintree on Saturday. I think that'll go quite well. And over at Sandown, Fontaine Collonge in the 335, 4-1. Goes well fresh for Venetia Williams. We're in Venetia Williams Wonderland at the moment, and loves a good bit of cut in the ground. Beat the big breakaway in a handicap at Haydock before the big breakaway. Obviously ran second in the Welsh National. Also some massive eye catcher behind Remastered at Haydock in December, was so far out the back and finished fourth, staying on fourth to only be beaten by 9 lengths. He's a good horse fresh, and stepping up to, I think it's a big step up in trip that he's going to be going up to. I think it's something like 3 mile 5 or 3 mile 4 or something like that. I don't think it's in the London National Handicap, actually, the one that I sort of half mentioned for Highland Hunters form. So it's in the London National, the 3:35. It's a big step up in trip, but I don't think his true staying potential has been unleashed yet. So 4-1 about him, 5-2 about Son and Gino at Aintree, the 240, and my nap of the weekend, I'll probably go JPR1. It's probably the best chance in the Henry VIII. Harry, what's your nap?
Yeah, I'm going over to the 130 at Aintree Ash for my nap of the weekend. It's a mare's chase. It's a listed race. It's obviously over to the middle distance, 2.5 miles, and you've got the likes of Pink Legend, Zambella, Orbis Walk is in there. But I am actually going to be siding. We have mentioned Venetia Wonderland, and I am going to be going with Pink Legend in this one. She's coming on the back of a break, but her last 2 runs have been superb. She won at Cheltenham at the April meeting. She then went to Perth and won a listed race there for mares by 7 lengths. I think she's the best of this lot. She goes well fresh. She recorded good RPRs on her seasonal reappearances before, so I'm hoping that she can reverse the Doncaster form from in December 2022 when her and Zambella met. But I think Pink Legend is just a better animal. So yeah, Pink Legend in the 130 is my nap of the weekend. But also, I'm cheering on Big City Roller at Wetherby or Chepstow.
Brilliant stuff, Harry. Thank you very much. I just had one get chinned at Wolverhampton while I've been listening to you there. So it's always a good evening. But no, thank you very much for watching the video. That's all we've got time for. If you did enjoy, please do make sure to like and subscribe. And make sure to tune in on Sunday evening for our Sunday show, 7 till 8. We'll be reviewing all of the action, probably Jonbon talk, maybe Constitution Hill as well. All the roundup of the best horses we've seen from the week, and potentially a couple of anti-post fancies. So 7 till 8 on Twitter on Sunday evening. Make sure to go check that out. If you don't already, do follow us as well on the socials. Social there for me, social for Harry, at Racing Lee 1, the Only Fools Have Horses main page. Do go follow that as well. We'll be back regular schedule 10:30 a.m. on Saturday morning for our final fancies ahead of the Saturday action over on Twitter, and obviously Sunday show, and then back next week for another preview. Harry,
we do also have a competition running on the Only Fools of Horses account, so if you do want to check that out, go over to the Twitter page, as Ash has mentioned, OFLH Racing, and you will see it as our pinned tweet. It's by Birdie. Many of you have seen that his collages of racing folklore. So make sure you do check it out. It's a brilliant competition to win, and as always, it's free to do. So yeah, go and check it out, and best of luck.
Yeah, all you have to do is retweet and I believe tag a friend. That's all you have to do. So make sure
to get friend, Ash. I'm not the only friend I can tag is you, and I can't do that because we're.
And that's why you're not allowed to enter, and that is why you're not allowed to enter. So make sure to go do that if you do want to enter a competition. If you're having a bet this week, please do gamble responsibly, and we'll see you very, very soon for another video.